Rose needs matchers for her striking focus fabric. Jan is not sure whether her fabric is the focus fabric or if it's a coordinate. And Joann has a beautiful fabric that has so many colors she can't choose. Let's help them out. Hi, it's Fran Morgan with Fabric Cafe, and I'm your fabric matchmaker. Today, all of our participants had specific fabric challenges that we're going to help them with. We're going to dig into coordinating their fabrics, and we're going to really help them out by choosing a pattern as well. So let's check out our first one. Our first participant is Rose, and she sent in this striking, just gorgeous fabric. So we have here all of these fabrics on a navy blue background, all of our flowers, our suns. We have some fish in here, some waves. There's just so much to look at, and it's so very interesting. We also have just a little outline of gold, which I think is really nice and gives it just a touch of that reflective quality when the light hits it. Rose, I totally understand how gorgeous your fabric is and how you really need it to be the star of the show. So we're going to help you out with that. But first, let's read what you have to say about your fabric. Rose writes, I was so excited when I saw this fabric. All the colors, all the beauty, but alas, what to do with it? It is a standout piece, but what should I choose to go with it? I thought about adding another patterned fabric, but no, I don't think so. It's such a standout piece all on its own. Please help. By the way, I have your patriotic 3-yard book and love it. Well, Rose, thank you so much, and I think we have the perfect solution for you. Let's go check out the quilt. Now, Rose, I chose the Sleigh Bells pattern for your fabric. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I chose this. One, of course, we have a nice little window here, block, that your fabric is going to look gorgeous in. And the border is really interesting. This kind of sashed border on the quilt is perfect. It gives it some interest, but it's not going to take away from the gorgeousness of your fabric. And you know that is our key. So this is a great one to use really bold fabrics with. So let's go check out what else we've put with your fabric. Now, Rose, I have placed your fabric in the focus position, which is our fabric number 1 position. And you were spot on about thinking about putting it with some more subtle prints, because you did mention that, and I think that was it. So what we've done here, putting yours in the focus position, it is in this nice snowball block here, which is really great. Now, I've put a subtle number 2 with it. And now what's really great about this fabric number 2 is it has a little sprinkle of gold flecks. Now remember, we were talking about how your fabric has a little outline of gold. It's that gold that's going to tie these together. So this works perfectly for number 2. It is going to completely border your focus fabric, which is also going to help highlight it. And then for our number 3, I have picked kind of this denim blue. Now the reason why I chose a blue for your background is because the background of your fabric is blue. That's going to bring it together, and it's going to really help anchor it so that the only thing that your eye is going to be drawn to is your fabric. Now this fabric number 3 is going to go everywhere the red is in our Sleigh Bells pattern here. And it's, you know, it's like framing a piece of art. You've got this beautiful fabric and we've put a beautiful frame around it. So it's going to work perfectly. So for everybody, let me just kind of reiterate the tip that we have for you on this. When you have a really bold focus fabric, use more simple, more subtle fabric number 2 and number 3 to really show off and highlight your focus fabric. And that is what we were doing here with Rose's fabric. Another little tip too to keep in mind is I love how that this snowball block here is surrounded by the number 2, so it really gives that contrast against your focus fabric. So the pattern is definitely very important when doing this. You wouldn't want to put your number 3 and your number 2 together because they wouldn't necessarily contrast enough, but with that white, it's gonna pop, and we're gonna show you. I think it's just beautiful, and as you can see on the screen, we have our Sleigh Bells pattern there with Rose's fabric. It's gorgeous. It absolutely is jaw-dropping. It's gorgeous fabric, Rose. I love it. I love how it just really pops. And as you can see, there's a little on the border as well, which is just perfect. It brings all of that color out as well. So I I just think this is striking, and I just think it's wonderful. So Rose, for participating today, we are going to be sending you 1 yard of the fabric number 2, 1 yard of the fabric number 3, and our new book, Quick Christmas 3-Yard Quilts, that has the sleigh bell patterns in it. Now let's check out what we've got for everything else that Rose inspired. I couldn't find the exact matcher, but I found something that's a similar style, which I really like. So this particular one is primarily green instead of blue, and we have these gorgeous jungle animals. We have elephants and macaws and zebra and there's even, there's so many different things in here. Here's some tigers in here, and they're all outlined in that metallic gold, just like Rose's fabric. So I think it's just fabulous. Now, we are gonna use this as our focus. It is gonna go everywhere our snowball block is here. Now, for our number 2 fabric, we are using a similar fabric, this nice cream with the gold fleck on it, so that it picks up the gold in our focus. That is going to border our snowball, so this will be next to each other so that you can really get that focus fabric to pop. And then for our number 3, keeping it simple, we've done a green texture. It has a little dark tones and some lighter tones that coordinate super well, but that's going to be in our sashing blocks and our little cornerstones right here, so that it just gives interest to the quilt without competing with the focus fabric, because of course that's what we want to do. We're really showcasing and framing that focus fabric with this pattern. So I think it works beautifully. Let's check out the image here that we've got. As you can see, it is just striking. I love how the focus fabric is highlighted in that snowball block. Then it comes out to the edge and brings all that color out there. And the sashing gives it lots of interest without being overwhelming. Now this kit is called Jungle Magic, and we have put it in our Sleigh Bells pattern from our Quick Christmas 3-Yard Quilts book. Now our next fabric is brought to us by Jan here. She sent in this fabulous beach fabric, and this, the minute I saw it, I thought, oh, I want to go to the beach. It is just so gorgeous. We have all of our shells here, some little starfish, some seahorses, and it's all on a textured background with this blue kind of a wood grain, which is very cool. I really, really like it. Let's see what she has to say about her fabric. All right, Jan writes, I bought this fabric after I moved to Florida 5 years ago. I wanted a beachy theme, and I loved this fabric when I saw it. I wanted to make a lap-size quilt for myself for the first time. I have made quilts for others, but never for myself. I can visualize it on my recliner when the weather gets cool. Yes, we do get cooler weather sometimes. This fabric seems to be directional because of the seahorse, and the shells are spaced out. So I wasn't sure how to fit this in with coordinating colors and whether it should be fabric 1, 2, or 3. Please help. Sincerely, Jan. Jan, we have something fabulous, and I've got a little surprise in store. So let's check out the quilt. Now this is our high-rise pattern. Now Jan, I selected this pattern for your fabric for a couple of reasons. Now it's called high-rise, which makes you think of skyscrapers, but really, once I placed your fabric in the pattern, it made it look like that these were the lines on the seashore where the water has come up and receded, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to share it with you. But this is a fabulous pattern. It's going to be super, super quick, and it's a 1-block pattern, so it's going to go together really fast, which you know how we love those. So let's get this on the table and see how we can transform this pattern into a wonderful seaside look. Jan, I have chosen to put your fabric in the number 1 position, which is the focus position, because that was one of the questions that you had. You weren't quite sure where to place it, but I did place it in the focus. Now, your fabric is going to go everywhere you see kind of this black, colorful circle here, as well as a little bit on the border. Now, bear with me for a second. We're going to see an image in a minute, and you're going to see how it works. Because another concern of yours that you had is that they were a little spaced out and it could be directional. But putting it in this pattern works perfectly because it gives you those little bit of hint of the beach flavor without being overwhelming. Now, for fabric 2 and 3, when you're not sure what to coordinate with it, check your background colors. That's the best thing to do. So for my tip number 2 for all of you out there, if you're having trouble with your fabric 2 and 3 to coordinate, look at your background. So that's exactly what we did here. So we have some whites in our background as well as some darker blues. So I chose to pull the lightest tone from the background as my number 2 fabric, the darkest tone from my background as my number 3 fabric. And it's going to work perfectly. So we have this wonderful white. Now this, and it doesn't always show up, but this fabric actually has little shells on it. It's a tone on tone, which is great because I think it coordinates so well with the focus. That is going to go everywhere the white is on this quilt. And then for our number 3, as I said, we're picking up our darker tones in our blue. We have another really nice shell print here that is going to go where the black is. And it is going to be really balanced, which I like. So this pattern is perfect because it really kind of disperses the focus fabric. And because your focus fabric has more subtle tendencies, I like the way that it's spread out through the quilt and really looks fantastic. All right, let's check out that image. Because remember what I said at the quilt when we were looking at it, how it almost looks like the waves have come up on the beach and then receded and it leaves that line in the sand. That's what this made me think of whenever I saw it in this pattern. I thought it was great. I love how the shells kind of just play all over the surface and it looks so beachy. But for a little surprise, I have a secondary pattern that I also think it looks great in. Now this is our Serenity pattern, and I think that the blocks are a little bigger, so you're gonna see a little bit more of your focus fabric, and it works so perfectly. Now, Jan, I think either one of these are gonna look beautiful in your home, in that chair, for those cooler mornings, so you can cuddle up and help you think of sunny, warm days. Jan, thank you so much for participating. I am gonna send you 1 yard of your number 2 fabric, 1 yard of your number 3 fabric, as well as the book, Go Bold with 3-Yard Quilts, that has both patterns in it, the high rise and the Serenity. So you get to choose. All right, let's see what Jan has inspired for the rest of us. Now, after seeing Jan's fabric, I had to find a seashell fabric because, of course, that just is what gives it that wonderful ocean feel. So we have found this blue background with all of these different shells on it. I think it's really, really pretty. Now, what's really cool about this fabric, it's kind of got a metallic tendency. Now, it's not silver, it's not gold, it's like a white pearlescent kind of shine to it that really helps the shells glisten, which I love. So this is our focus fabric. It'll go everywhere the little circles in color are here and on the border. Then we have our number 2 fabric, which is a white tone on tone with little shells in the background, which works perfectly with our theme here. And it goes where the white is. And then, of course, our number 3 matches so well. That is going to go everywhere the black is, and that's going to give us our sight line so that our eye travels across the top of the quilt like we like and gives us that kind of ocean feel, which I really, really love. All right, this is a beautiful, beautiful kit. As you can see on the screen how well the colors go together, how well the placement works. It looks so fresh, so clean, and just like the ocean. Absolutely love this fabric and this pattern. All right, this kit is called Beach Escape. It is the high-rise pattern from the Go Bold book with 3-Yard Quilts. Our next fabric was submitted by Joann, and what a fun fabric, and she has a great story. This fabric is one of those that makes you smile when you see it. Again, a beautiful summertime fabric, and it just makes me think of all those fun beach places as a kid. I just loved it. We've got these flamingos. They have sunglasses on. They have flower lays on. These must be from Hawaii because they have all the lays, all the beautiful tropical flowers. So many beautiful colors, so much fun to look at. It just makes you smile. So let's find out what Joann has to say about her fabric. She writes, "This fabric came from a friend of my son's who was a quilter. She sadly has passed away, and her husband decided to clean out her quilting room. When he went into the room, he became overwhelmed by all the work it was going to take to clean it out. He asked my son if he knew anyone who quilted, and he told him that his mom did. He asked my son if he would be interested in cleaning the room out for him. My son came over one day with 7 large tubs of fabric and 2 large tubs of batting. I got to choose what I wanted. The fabric was part of that fabric stash, and it is what I like in the fabric. Very colorful and gives you so many colors to pull from. That is also the problem for me. Because I can't decide what colors to choose to make it calm down and still pop at the same time. She must have liked it too, because there were 7 yards of this fabric. Joann, I think we've got something great for you. Let's go check out the pattern. Now, Joann, we chose to put your fabric in Pinwheel Party, which is great because this is such a fun pattern. And you know, I think it's one of those little hidden gems that we don't see that often show up, and it's just perfect for your fabric. Now, your fabric is really bold. It's going to go in this part right here as well as on the border. And these little pinwheels that are bordered are going to just really enhance that playfulness, I think. So this is a super fast one to go together because we do have a border block here with our pinwheels as well as the alternate block. It's going to be so much fun. Let's put it on the table and let's talk about all those bright colors in your fabric. Now, Joann, we have our Pinwheel Party on the table and we have our fabric stacked in the order that we're going to be using it. And as you see, we have your flamingos in the focus position, which I think is the perfect position. Now, I want to go backwards just for a minute. Remember that very first quilt, Rose, where she had a really dynamic fabric and we put some simple matchers with it? We're doing the same thing here. Now, that was not totally Joann's challenge. Hers was, what color do I put with it? Because there's so many colors. And you're right, Joann, that can be challenging when your fabric is so dynamic and so fun. What's going to be best? Now, whenever I choose coordinating fabrics, first I always look at what is my favorite color in the fabric. Now, I've put pink with yours, but maybe pink is not your thing. You could have easily pulled a nice blue, a green, even some of these warm yellows that are in here. But you can choose whatever you like. Just remember that your number 2 fabric is the lightest, your number 3 is the darkest. Okay, for the number 3, and I'm going to show you where all these go in just a moment. The number 3 fabric, I chose to match the background. And what that does is it gives grounding. So your fabric has a black background, so I chose a black number 3. So it just is almost like an extension of your focus, but without the print, which is kind of a nice tip. So for those that have these really dynamic fabrics like this that are lots of fun and you just don't know where to go with it, my tip for you is when the focus fabric has lots of colors, you need to choose coordinates. First, pick your favorite for the number 2, and next pick a color that matches the background color. And that way it all goes together. Now that number 2, pick the color that makes you happy. I chose pink because after all, it's flamingos, right? So we've got to do pink. All right, let's see how this goes in the quilt. We have our focused flamingos. It's going to go in the center of the block here, as well as on the border. But our number 2, this gorgeous pink, love it. It picks up the lighter shades in the pink, and it's flamingos. That is going to go here and in our pinwheels. And then, of course, our number 3 is the black that's going to anchor everything. This is going to border our flamingo fabric here, and it's going to be our pinwheels. Now, this works perfectly because it's picking up those grounding colors that are in this, which I really, really like. I think this pattern should be renamed Flamingo Party because look at this fun image that we have for you. As you can see, the flamingos are so perfectly framed with the black, which really gives it that art feel like we like. It's a nice frame around that beautiful fabric. And the pink gives your eye a place to rest. Picks up those wonderful pinks in the flamingos. And then our number 3 black is our pinwheel that just keeps the fun in the pattern. So absolutely love it. All right, for participating today, Joann, we are going to be sending you 1 yard of the number 2, 1 yard of the number 3, and our book Quick as a Wink, which has the Pinwheel Party in it, or the Flamingo Party quilt. Now, Joann has inspired a darling kit. We have more flamingos, and look at these ladies. They're all dressed up and ready to go to the party. So we're gonna have our own party here. I love it. We've got a black background, same as Joann's. All of our pink flamingos and their pretty hats, their sunglasses, they are just so much fun. We even have a few little cocktails thrown in here just for a little party spirit. Now our focus fabric is going to go in the center here of our block as well as our border. Then our number 2, we've picked up that pink again. So this pink is that perfect resting place. It goes in our alternate block border and our pinwheel. And then for our number 3 is that yummy black that picks up the background and frames our flamingo fabric perfectly. So we have it framed here, and it adds that little piece of joy in that pinwheel so that it really keeps that party spirit going. All right, we've got an image on the screen so you can see how darling that looks. I just love the flamingos. I just think they are such a spirited animal. They're just beautiful, and the pinks and the blacks are just amazing. What a fun, fun quilt. Now this kit is called Summer Favorites. The name of the pattern is Pinwheel Party from our Quick as a Week book. Now I want to thank all of the ladies that submitted today, sharing their beautiful fabrics, their very fun stories. We really, really appreciate it. Now, if you would like to participate in Fabric Matchmaker, all you have to do is go to our website, fabriccafe.com, click on the Free Goodies tab, and there you will find a submission form that I would need you to fill out and a 12-inch swatch of your fabric. That is what I prefer. And we will get you scheduled for an upcoming episode. So please go check that out. Now, if you would like to see more fabric matching videos, be sure to check out the video that pops up. It's Fran Morgan, your Fabric Matchmaker.